Alright guys, so the game's not out. It is 10:40 p.m. and the game still has not come out, but they have went ahead and dropped the 1.1.0 patch notes. So that's pretty cool. We can look at the buffs and nerfs in a game we can't play. Anytime I try to log in, it says maintenance. I thought it'd be over at 9 p.m., but nope. So I'm thinking it's either going to end at 12 a.m. or it's going to go into the next day. What can you do? Hopefully tomorrow it will definitely be out, but like I said, we do have patch notes for the beta test coming back in, and they've tweaked some characters. So we're going to start with Gohan. They adjusted his base HP to increase more easily during the match outset. I don't know what they mean by match outset. Does that mean when he's not in battle, or maybe when he levels up? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means. His passive has received a buff. It has gone from 300 to 400, so that's a pretty decent buff there. We're going to see how that affects his passive. His rush attack during exploding rage, so during his super attack, has gone up from 100 times 6 to 140 times 6, so that's a pretty big boost there actually. So you're going to see his rush attack doing more damage in his super attack. And then his skill 2 has given a radius increase by 0.15 for level 1 and then to 2 meters at level 2. His skill level 3, or his skill 3, sorry, has increased the enemy defense down within the barrier from 600 to 800, so that's a pretty decent buff. And then energy defense down effect to enemies within the barrier adjusted to persist for 2 seconds after exiting the barrier. So when they leave, they're still going to have that minus 800 defense down, which is going to be pretty good. Give it a little bit of a boost. The super attack has been changed. The cooldown was nerfed from 65 to 70 seconds, so you're going to have to wait 5 more seconds, but it's going to receive these buffs to make up for it. The strike attack up effect to ally heroes go from 300 to 500, so that is that's like a 40% buff. That's a pretty good, or 35% buff. That's a pretty good buff, I would say. Strike attack up effect to ally heroes shortened to compensate for this pretty massive buff, going from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. And then the strike defense up effect to self increase from 600 to 700. So all around pretty good buff for Gohan here. We're going to have to see how, that affects, considering we can't play the game. We now have Deborah. His HP, same thing as Gohan, to increase more easily during the match outset. I don't know what that even means, but whatever. We have his skill 1, the Doom's Ray. Damage increased 900 plus 45. So, this is what it was before. No. This is what they increased it to, and this is what it was before. As you can see, it's a nice, looks like a little bit of a 10% boost or something like that. It's kind of like, why wouldn't they put the old and then the new? No. He got nerfed. This is a nerf. Yeah, he got nerfed. So they nerfed his skill 1 by, looks like, about 10%, maybe a little bit less, like 8%. And then his petrification gauge gain increase, they also nerfed this, it looks like. His super attack, the petrification gauge gain increased from 40 to 50. I don't know what petrification gauge increase means. I don't know if that's a bad or a good thing. I didn't play Deborah. I was only able to play the first beta test. So if that's a good thing, that's a buff. If it's a bad thing, that's a nerf. I'm assuming it's a buff, considering he petrifies people. I'm assuming he's not petrifying himself. Anyways, I think that's a buff, and I think this is a nerf to his skill 1. Super Saiyan Trunks, base HP adjusted to increase more easily during the match endgame. I don't know what that... Okay. And then all attack up when transformed increased from 120% to 130%, so just a 10% boost on his transformation. Pretty sweet. We then have Piccolo. They are buffing his skill 1 blast range in the first and second levels by 3 in the first level and 2 in the second level, and it's going to end up being the same in the third level. So really this is going to just affect your early to mid game. His energy blast speed decreased, so we got a little bit of a nerf on the speed of it coming out. I think that's what that is. I really don't know. Can't play the game. We have the energy blast damage at all levels, and it is going from 2,500, 3,500 to 4,000, just to all going to be the same at 2,520. So that's a nerf on his damage, but I'm assuming they're trying to even it out with how much faster it comes out now. Skill level 2 / super explosion damage decreased from 380 to 120 to 280 to 840, so that's a little bit of a nerf. And then distance at which damage increases per skill level adjusted. And these are the adjustments here. It looks like a pretty big nerf on this final one. I'm assuming they're making it more condensed, so that's pretty cool. Same thing, base HP easily during the end game, just like Trunks. And then his super attack has received a cooldown from 60 to 50 seconds. So not too bad for Frieza. Nice buff. Full power Bojack. Yep, same thing, base HP. So they're doing a lot of the end game HP stuff. And then they might be doing like a standard for transformations from what it was to 130. It might just be the standard for all. Yeah, look, like Cauliflower's also getting it. So 130 is going to be the standard for when you transform. You're going to get a plus 100%, 30% damage, and that's going to be the base. His passive, subordinates will now appear in a fixed order. I thought they already did that, but I guess not. So I guess that's just for more consistency, so you know what's going to happen. Stack base scaling off enhanced follow-up attacks remove for consistency, so they just removed something that I didn't even know about because I wasn't able to play them. And then the super attack has a cooldown shortened of 100 to 90 seconds, so a 10-second removal, so that's pretty good. Nice little buff. Like I was talking about, Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla is going to go from 125 to 130, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so these were all the buffs. I'm an idiot. All this were buffs. And they kind of balanced it out by nerfing some aspects of attacks, like in Piccolo's. And now we're going to go into the nerfs. Baby, who I was the most excited about because I wasn't able to play him, is getting nerfed, unfortunately, but it'll be alright. His skill 2 is having a movement speed nerf during the activation from 100% to 75%. The damage decrease initial shock wave after shock is going from 250 to 200 and then 450 to 400, so 50 damage is being removed off that. Kind of sucks. And then they're also increasing the cooldown. That's kind of a big nerf to this skill. I don't know how it's going to affect him since I didn't play him, but that kind of like reading that off is kind of big. Like they hit the movement speed, the damage, and the cooldown. That's a lot to hit for one ability, especially when the game's not even out yet. So that's kind of a lot. We are getting his skill 3 possession. Ally / cover fire is being nerfed. The HP recovery over time is going from 1 to 0.75. The possession duration is shortened by 2 seconds. And then the steal life effect to possession going from 50% to 25%. Another nerf to another ability. They might be nerfing Baby super hard. This is kind of crazy. I don't know how like strong he was in the beta, but this seems like a lot. His super attack, the big AoE explosive wave like everyone else has, is being nerfed. As you can see the numbers here, it's going from 3,000 first level, 3,600 second level, 4,200, and then 4,800 to 2. Ooh, that's kind of big. 1,000 off the rip for each hit. That's kind of crazy. And then recovered HP for each hero hit is being reduced to just 20%. Wow, so you're not getting this stacking percentage anymore. You're just straight up only getting 20% per hero hit, which is kind of, I don't know, maybe this was like running rampant in the beta, but that seems kind of big. So that's Baby. Let's go to Android 18. Base HP adjusted, just like a bunch of other characters. Rush attack no longer provides stacks. That sucks. That was kind of pretty sweet for her passive. Now that's not going to provide stacks anymore. Damage decrease on her skill 3. It's looking like a 40. Wow. So you're not going to, leveling it up doesn't give you more damage. So it's just stuck at 680. And then while reactivating it, any enemy is KO'd by your final Excel dash. The number of possible reactivations will now increase. That's pretty cool. But they are nerfing the consecutive damage, which kind of sucks. And then the super attack having the cooldown lengthened from 80 to 90. So a 10% increase on the cooldown. Zamasu, base HP adjusted just like everyone else. And then his super attack is being nerfed. The cooldown is being increased by 10 seconds. And then the movement speed down is being decreased from 80 to 70%. So they're going to move 10% faster. I think the cooldown is going to be the most noticeable effect in this. And then I don't think you're really going to notice this that much. Majin Buu's nerfed. Skill 3 ready go. No skill effects to enemies on hit removed. That's his only nerf. Doesn't seem too bad. Cooler final form is being hit. HP increase is being... This looks like a buff. So his HP is being increased. His base HP adjusted to increase more easily during the match. Yep, like everyone else. Yeah, he's receiving a 130. The cooldown on his super attack is being lengthened from 65 to 70, so 5% or 5 second increase, and then the damage upon explosion decreased from 2,000 to 1,500, so it's losing 25% of its damage. That's kind of crazy. Wow. That's 25. We're going to see how that affects. I'm going to notice this because I was playing Cooler a lot in the beta, so if this might just be like huge. Like, that's not going to be awesome. Krillin stats, base HP adjusted to increase more easily during the match outset, just like everyone else. And then his skill 1 energy mine cooldown lengthened from 5 to 6 seconds. Energy blast explosion / secondary explosion damage decreased from 1260 1400 1680 to 1440 16 1920 to 180. And then secondary, that's a lot to read, but basically it's just getting nerfed a bit. And then the marked effect time shortened from 7.5 seconds to 5 seconds. Skill 3 is also receiving a buff. This is receiving a buff, actually. So it's going from 200 damage to 250, so they want to bring this move up. And then his super attack Destructo Disc is going from 50 seconds to 70 seconds. 50 seconds is kind of a crazy short cooldown, so this is probably well needed. And then we have adjustments to some characters. Like I was saying, the super attack is now, like when you transform, it's all going to be 130, so they're probably making that baseline, which is a good idea. And then his cooldown for Spirit Bomb, so he got nerfed and buffed. So it looks like they're also baselining super attacks, going from 80 to 90. And then the HP is being adjusted, and then the super attack is going to, or the transformation is going to the 130 like everyone else. Oob, yep, base HP adjusted, and then it looks like some of the NPCs that you do fight during the game are receiving some changes. So rush attack damage boost effect buff upon KO increased from 20% to 30%. The movement speed from Android 16 10% to 15%. Jocko, the damage boost applied upon KO increased from 10% to 20%. So it looks like they are just trying to make these effects that you gain from going after the big enemy more noticeable. And then the God of Destructions will now prioritize heroes rather than accompany characters such as Darbon and Exoria, etc. So it looks like they were focusing on Dodoria and Zarbon instead of Frieza, so I guess he was just able to go underneath and kill people who are weak. So I guess that sucked. Added a timer. A timer has been added near the God of Destruction to indicate the time until Zeno arrives. Okay, so just more information. That's pretty sweet. Helper Ride. Similar to skills, activation direction can now be chosen with directional input. That's pretty sweet. Helper defense buff. Cooldown shortened 60 to 30 seconds. Pretty sweet. Gekishin High cooldown reduction rate increased from 25 to 50%. That's pretty sweet. Lightning Swift damage decreased, so this is getting nerfed, from 1,000 to 800. And then Super Snowball, all attack up per use, increased from 50 to 75. So that is all of the buffs slash nerfs. I think some of these, like the baby nerfs, the cooler super nerfs, are gonna have a pretty big impact. Maybe. I think they will, because those seems like pretty heavy nerfs to some of their stuff. But, you know, we can't freaking tell because the game's not out. Anyways, I just wanted to go over this because there's literally no other content I can make because the game's not out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am excited to play the game if it ever comes out. And I hope to see you guys playing the game as well. I will catch you on my next episode. Peace out.